Hi there, this is John Barton from JB Cases. So right now I'm going to do a pool video and not a case video, but I want to use a lesson from, I want to use an experience from this past weekend to illustrate something about pool that we don't really talk about a lot, at least not on video too much that I've seen, and it's attitude um, and how it affects your game. So we all know, that we're trying to develop our skills in pool and trying to understand the balls better and how they work. The physics of pool, trying to control our bodies to stay down, have a good stroke, and so on. But one thing that we don't really talk about a lot is how attitude affects our game, negatively and positively. So really quickly, I'm going to relate an experience from this weekend. I went to a tournament last Saturday, and it was a straight race to five, no handicap tournament. The entry fees were staggered, so that the higher rated players just paid more to enter, which I thought was a really good idea. I've seen that done in many places all over the world. I think it's a good way to encourage. I think it's a good way to encourage the lower rated players to jump in and play with the higher rated players, the better skilled players, so that they don't feel like they're just donating so much. They're basically, most of the time in a non-handicap tournament, let's be honest, the higher rated players are highly favored to win. That's just statistically, the probability. So at the end of the tournament, you're not going to see a lot of lower rated players in a non-handicap tournament in the final, five or six players. But the shorter the races, the more chance that a lower rated player can do well and go through if they play above their head and so on. But here's the thing: as long as we have, say, only handicap tournaments or only rated tournaments, then the chances of the lower rated players getting that experience of playing against the higher rated players in a format that doesn't give them such an advantage, or not an advantage, but doesn't equal it out to such a point where they're not really learning how they're getting beat. They're if they win against a higher rated player in a handicap format, they might think that it's mostly because of their own skill, and give less credit to the handicap itself. And so that kind of has a tendency to reinforce the idea that the person getting the handicap is actually better than they are. That's a whole other issue. But the point I want to make is that we need both types of formats. We need formats that encourage players to just play straight up races, even up, high handicap versus low handicap person, or high rated versus low rated, and that's what this format did. So back to the experience, right? The first player I draw is a player who's rated, about in Fargo about 20 points lower than me. So if we were going to translate that to games or balls, I don't really know I'm not going to go look it up on the Fargo right now. But let's just say, for example, if we were racing to 7, I might have to spot him a game. So he would have to go to 6. I would have to make it basically an even race. Or I might have to spot him the call 8 or something like that. He's about maybe a ball, half a ball lower than me in rating. Okay, now that doesn't mean that I'm going to win every time when I play him even sets, or he's going to win every time playing handicap sets or anything. It just means that basically, on average, I'm a little bit better player than he is. Okay, on average over a lot of games. So anyway, but I know that this player, for example, is someone who really, 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 really hates to lose. He really gets disgusted with himself when he plays, worse than he thinks he should play. Actually, when he plays worse than he should play, because he's a decent player. And as a lot of us do, a lot of us get disgusted about our own play. But with this guy, it affects him like immediately, like right in the match. Anything that happens, whether it's his own play, whether it's a good roll by his opponent, whatever, it just immediately, you can see how it really affects him negatively. So I win the match 5-0. And knowing my opponent, I made the resolution that I wasn't going to talk to him. I wasn't going to joke around or say anything or do anything. I was just going to sit there and be absolutely quiet, absolutely still, focus really hard when I got to the table on playing the right shots, and just do my best at the table, and just try to play my game, not think about him and his attitude, and as a result, I won 5-0. Now, that 5-0 win represented two things. It represented me running out a couple times or playing some really good shots at critical times. And it represented him making mistakes, probably more mistakes than he should make. So I got the good fortune of him making mistakes and giving me shots. And I had the fortune of being able to stay in the game, keep my head in the game, and just focus on running out or just focus on playing the best I could. Now, when I say best I could, look, I'm an average player. I'm a 600 speed Fargo player. I've been as high as 630. Hopefully I won't dip, much below 600, but I think that 600 is about the right speed for me right now. The guy I played is like a 575, I think, or a 580. But what I mean by play the best I can, it means that I know that when I play, I'm still going to pick the wrong pattern sometimes. I'm still going to have stroke errors. I'm still gonna just miss shots just for some odd reason, right? I mean, these are the knowledge things and the physical things that I know that limit me as a player to where I'm at right now. And by the same token, he has things that limit him, as a player. I also know that I can be mad at myself, and I can be dumb, which is what brings me to the next point. So the guy loses to me 5-0, which he shouldn't. He shouldn't lose 5-0. That's an odd result, But I think, as I said, it came about because of his attitude and causing him to play worse than he normally would, and my attitude where I decided that I was going to really try hard to focus on only the game, which possibly made me play a little bit better than I normally would. So anyway, after the match, he's loudly telling people I'd rather play anybody than John Barton, and da-da-da. Basically, he's saying that the very fact that he had to play me, because I guess he doesn't like me, made him play bad. So basically he's saying to himself and everybody else, I'm giving up a spot to John Barton before we ever hit a ball, because I've already decided that I'm disgusted by having to play him, and therefore I'm going to let it affect me as I play. So let me tell you guys something about this real quick, and I'm gonna hit some balls here and show you a couple things in a moment to make it a pool video. But I myself have had that exact same issue. Back in the early 90s, I played a guy in Germany, and I don't know what it was about this guy that I didn't like him. I mean, it was just something about him. I can't even remember right now exactly what it was, but there was something about him that I just didn't like him at all, And I'm not saying it was justified. I'm just saying every time I played him, I couldn't stand it. I just couldn't stand it. And as a result, I usually played pretty bad against him, below my average. So one day I made a decision. I said, you know what? I'm just going to focus on trying to play, and I'm going to forget about the personality conflict. And I actually beat him. And then a few times we played after that. I lost a couple times, won a couple times, but I never lost all the time. And I was never, after that, unhappy about my own performance because of anything that had to do with a personality clash between me and him. So if I lost, then I realized that I lost because I made mistakes, more mistakes than he did, or whatever. It was all on the pool table. It didn't have anything to do with me not liking him or him not liking me or any kind of words exchanged between us any time in the past. And we never, by the way, we never had those words when we played. I mean, it wasn't like that. It was just me internally that I just didn't like him for some reason. So that made a big deal for me back then, to realize that, hey, this is where you battle it out, right here. No matter how you feel about the person you're playing, you're only going to handicap yourself if you bring that in and into your body, into your mind, and all the way through to your hands, and you let that affect what you're doing on the pool table. So all you're doing is you're basically giving up extra weight to your opponent by your bad attitude. And I've done it a million times, so I'm no angel at this. In fact, 3 weeks ago or so, I lost $500, and I was telling my friend to curb his bad attitude while I was playing him. Before I lost the 500, I was playing my buddy. He lost a couple sets to me, and he was getting mad because of every roll that I got and every bad roll that he got. He was getting mad, and he was basically making himself play worse. So I told him, I said, dude, you need to, calm that down and get in control of yourself, because you're missing more than you should because you're upset. And then what did I do? I turned right around and played someone else and got myself upset and played worse than I should because of it. So I'm no angel at this. So I fully get it. But here's the deal. So we all love to play this game. We all love to play pool because we can control the spears, right? We can do magical things. We can make the ball twist and go and do all kinds of crazy stuff with it. And that's what we all seek on the pool table, is this type of control. But here's the thing. If you're a millimeter off, or your stroke is just, you check it, or you do something weird with your stroke, your speed is off by a little bit, then you miss the ball or you miss position, and you basically, you don't do what you wanted to do. And when you do what you want to do, when you run out, you get a great feeling inside. You get a dopamine rush in your head, and you feel great. It's like a drug. The opposite effect occurs when you don't do what you want to do. So when you don't do what you want to do, you get depressed. You don't get that dopamine hit. You don't get that good feeling. You get feelings of, I'm worthless, I can't do this, I don't even know why I play this game, and stuff like that. So the number one thing to realize, though, for everybody is this. Number one, nobody is perfect at this game. Nobody. Not Shane Van Boening, not Jason Shaw. There's no perfect pool player who never makes a mistake. Never. What there are players who are at the highest possible level that we know of, who make less mistakes on average than any other person. And everybody else is below them. Way below them. So if you consider how good Shane plays, or how good Jason or these other top pros play, and how good the people below them play right below them, and you contrast that with how you play, you can understand how difficult this game actually is. Now, that's important to understand, because you're trying to do something that is actually difficult. Those guys, they make it look easy, But the reason that they make it look easy is because they've attained a way higher skill level than you have, than I have. So in order to be happy at this game, the thing that we have to do is we have to remember that every time we go to the table, we have to literally try our best to do what we want to do, and we have to understand and keep a catalog of when we didn't achieve what we wanted to do and try to figure out why that was. We have to break that down because incrementally, little by little, you want to correct those things so that you can get better and better and better. Now, can you get to Shane Van Boning's level as a part-time player? No, you can't. I'm sorry. You just can't. You can't put in an hour a day on the pool table and get to an 800 level Fargo rating. You can't. Sorry. Okay? But if you're a 600 like I am, is it possible to put in an hour a day and get to, say, a 630 or a 640 or a 650? I think that's probably possible. But it's not possible if all I do is get mad at myself for missing, never look at, like really look at why I missed, and then never really practice to correct those things why I missed. So everything that I am right now as a person on the pool table, everything that I am, my attitude, my skill level, my knowledge, that's what makes me a 600 speed player right now. Now, I could have times, months where I go up to, say, a 610 or a 620, and then there might even be times when I go down to, say, a 590 or a 580, but 600, let's say, is my average, right? So, here's the deal. If I want to get better, truly get better, as much as I can with the time that I've got to do it, I must analyze why I make the mistakes I do and try to correct them little by little by little. So that's what you have to do on the pool table. So now, I want to explain something. When I played the guy that I said I won 5-0, right? I said I was going to focus really hard, and play. And part of focusing is using the tools that I know. So for example, center to edge aiming or any other aiming method. Using those tools, using the things I practiced, and relying on them to bring me through when I'm playing. And that's what I'm talking about when you have an attitude problem, when you have something that's bothering you. If you'll go back to the basics and just rely on your foundations, the things that you really, really know and you've learned so far, you'll find, I think, that you can play better than you thought you could by doing that. If you just simply zero in and focus. So for example, here I want to make the 1, the 7, the 8, and the 9, right? So I could cut the 1 in the side, but it's kind of sharp there. But here's the deal. If I line up on this ball right now to cut it in the side, I don't have to think about whether or not it will go. I only have to think about how to line up on it. So for this particular shot, for example, I come down, I pivot in, and I'm right there where I need to be to make the ball. So you can see, I don't have to worry about it. All I would have to worry about there is my speed control and the trajectory of the ball. Now, you see what I'm saying about using the tools. So I could be mad, I could be upset, I could be anything I wanted to be, but if I just stay calm and use the tools that are available to me, that I've learned and internalized, I'll play better. So here, instead of cutting it in the side, I want to make it in the corner. So I'm going to go center to edge and edge to B on this shot. You'll see my speed, I just popped it out Nice and easy. Now where do I want to go here? Okay. I want to either hit the ball soft and let it come up here for the side. However, if I over-roll it, I'm going to be stuck here somewhere. So maybe I want to go here, here, and up to here, where I've got a little bit more of an option. I can cut it in the corner, or I can cut it in the corner from there. So it depends on how you like your speed. But these are the things that you think about. You don't think about attitudes or problems or whatever. And the other part of it is like a player that's not happy with their game, that's already got an attitude problem. Let's say that let's say the guy blames me and says, well, you know, I just don't like to play John Barton. So now if he gets out of line a little bit, now he's got to cut it a little bit more than he wanted, right? Well, in his mind, he might be going, damn John Barton, I can't stand playing him. And he's blaming me for him missing the speed control and everything on here and getting out of line. Well, that translates further into everything that he does. He's going to have a much harder time to overcome any positional errors or anything like that. Whereas if you're calm and you're using the tools available to you, understand that you're an average player. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to get bad position, you know, or position that you don't want. You're going to get not perfect position. Okay, well, if you're staying calm and using the tools available to you, then you can work it out. So for example, from here, you know, if I were here or even here, let's go even further, right? So first of all, I want to look at the aim on this. So I look at the shot and I say, okay, now I'm just using center to edge terminology, but center to edge and edge to B makes this ball, right? So center to edge and edge to B makes the ball. So I know exactly where I need to stand right here. There's no other place on the table that I need to go to except where center to edge and edge to B takes me for this shot. So now that I know that, I can see the path of the cue ball clearly, which allows me then to clearly see where the cue ball goes after contact. These are the lines that come with proper aiming, which using the aiming system tool that I particularly use allows me to see that, and it allows me to plan it out. Now I can focus on where's the cue ball going, what speed do I need, where do I want it to be. So for example here, I know that the cue ball is going this way, off this ball. If I use forward, it's going to take a little bit of a dip right there, and it's going to go this way. So I kind of like just letting it naturally float right there. Let's see what happens. Center to edge, edge to B. And I'm just going to hit it pretty soft. And look here. Now I've got a really nice shot for the 8 to the side, but the same thing applies. If I'm mad at myself or I'm having some kind of emotional thing going on, I might dog this 8 by rushing the shot or, you know, not paying exact attention. I might hit this 8 and I might leave the cue ball like here or something, you know, kind of in an in-between spot, instead of getting the cue ball up here for shape on the 9. You know, I want the cue ball to be right inside this area right in here. So kind of halfway between these two diamonds. That would be ideal for the cue ball to be in there, right? And I've got that position to do that, so it's basically a stop shot. But being calm and using your tools, the aim for this shot is center to edge and edge to A, right there. So center to edge to A, the only place I need to stand. And I'm just going to focus on hitting this like a dead stop shot. And there's my position for the 9. Now, same thing for the 9. Center to edge and edge to A. And there I am, perfect right there. Now, a lot of you will say, well, that's an easy run out. Anybody can do that. But you know what happens is a lot of average and average players at different rating skills, you know, like I'm a 600. below me, a lot of guys, they don't get out right there. And they should get out, but they don't get out because they're not staying calm and thinking and planning it out and letting it flow smoothly. So they're using every excuse to defeat themselves, even with a fairly simple run out like that. So that's my advice to you guys. I'm sorry I haven't played much pool here, but I just want to get this stuff off my chest. That's my advice to you guys out there and to myself, because in this situation, right, this guy puffs up and he gets in my face. I admit I could have ignored his comments about, using me as an excuse for losing. I guess I was an excuse for losing, because he let it get in his head. If that's what he truly believes, he let it get in his head. But my contention is that if he would focus on the game itself inside these rails, then the best revenge for playing a guy you don't like is to focus on the table, play your best game, and just beat him. Then you can walk over to the crowd and you can go, you know what? I really don't like playing that John Barton. He's such an asshole. So arrogant, so whatever, blah, blah, blah. So happy I beat him. That feels much better than losing and then using me as an excuse for losing. Better to use me as a motivation for winning, by staying inside the table. And the same thing applies to me. Like I wanted to just leave the tournament, forfeit. It basically ended up costing me like $80-90 just to go there for an hour or two. And I forfeited my chance to win more money. The next guy I played, I basically didn't care. So I let it affect me as well instead of using it as motivation to bear down even more and focus and win. So in my mind, both of us lost. He lost because he let it affect him and he played badly because of it. I lost because I let him affect me afterward and gave up any chance of playing good and getting a good day of pool in, So that's my advice to you guys as far as that goes. Just keep it inside the rails. Use every tool available to yourself when you miss. Understand why you miss. And just keep going forward and learning. And use your pool time when you do play tournaments to really relax and enjoy the game and bring all the tools that you learn to bear and resolve to fix any mistakes and go to the pool table later and practice and learn. And next time when you play, you'll have at least fixed something that makes you a better player. So that's it. And thank you guys very much for watching and play great pool. Bye-bye.